CBS News Justice reporter Paula Reid joins me now from Capitol Hill. She's been following the very latest on the hearing. So, Paula, the Attorney General said that he now recalls George Papadopoulos discussing his ties to Russia to set up a meeting between President Trump and Vladimir Putin. What was Sessions saying about these undisclosed contacts between the Trump campaign and Russia before the hearing?
Well, prior to this, Sessions had repeatedly testified that he had no knowledge of any contacts between the Trump campaign and Russia. But over the last several weeks, testimony, newly revealed court documents from the Mueller investigation revealed that at least two Trump campaign advisors personally spoke with Jeff Sessions about their intention to meet with people in Russia, or at least attempt to set up meetings in Russia. Now, as you just heard in that testimony, it was a fiery Attorney General there, denying that he ever lied. He said he didn't remember these meetings until he saw news reports, but they refreshed his memory. And now really all he says that he remembers is that he shut George Papadopoulos down when he suggested that meeting between then candidate Trump and President Vladimir Putin. Now, Sessions was pressed. Did he remember the then candidate's reaction to this suggestion? He did not. He says he also doesn't remember his conversations with Carter Page. Just last week, Carter Page testified before House Intel that he also told Jeff Sessions that he was planning to travel to Russia.
So, Paula, does Jeff Sessions' hazy recall of this interaction cloud his credibility as Attorney General? I mean, he suggests that he didn't recall something that had happened 18 months prior. We're not talking about 18 years. This is now, this is his third time testifying about this, and it feels, for those of us who are not lawyers but who are just watching this unfold, that the goalposts keep moving every time the Attorney General goes up there.
Well, people just have to ask themselves, would you remember something that a junior staffer had suggested at a meeting 18 months prior that you had a strong reaction to? I think different people would answer that differently. The problem for Jeff Sessions is that there is a pattern here, and it started from his time as Attorney General, his first few weeks there. His first press conference, Vlad, was, of course, to address the fact that he had failed to disclose his own meetings with the Russian ambassador. And the Russia investigation has really sort of clouded a lot of his time at the Justice Department because there is this pattern of sort of Russian amnesia. He just can't seem to remember any meetings that he or anyone else had with Russians related to the Trump campaign.
So would you say that this hearing was particularly contentious, or is this just the nature of these types of hearings?
This specific kind of hearing, anytime an Attorney General goes before the House, Vlad, these hearings are extremely contentious. I mean, with Attorney General Holder, it would devolve into name calling. He was ultimately held in contempt. Attorney General Loretta Lynch, she fared pretty much the same. I remember one congressman yelling at her that he wished it was Eric Holder because she was so frustrating and disappointing. And today, you saw the hearing started off with people insulting Attorneys General Loretta Lynch and Eric Holder, and then they went for Sessions. Something about these House hearings, they are particularly contentious, and Jeff Sessions has really given them a lot of fodder and a lot of difficult things to ask him about. So it didn't strike me that Jeff Sessions was getting it any harder than his two predecessors.
The Attorney General, Paula, was also grilled about a controversy involving the Clinton Foundation and an Obama-era uranium deal, the Uranium One deal. It's been reported on other sort of conservative news outlets. You wrote and you reported that it was an attempt to change the narrative of today's hearing. I mean, clearly the Attorney General has been in the doghouse with President Trump going back to just a few months after the inauguration. Was he successful in doing that?
It's not clear. It was interesting to see how he handled that. Clearly, the Justice Department revealed late last night that they were considering a possible special counsel to investigate Uranium One and the Clinton Foundation. But when pressed about this, Jeff Sessions kind of backed off. He pointed to the fact that the only special counsels that have ever been appointed have been for an investigation into the incident in Waco, Texas, and also this Trump-Russia campaign investigation. He said it's a very high bar. He was really sort of pressed as to whether or not he was doing the president's political bidding by going after Secretary Clinton. He denied that. He said that these kinds of investigations cannot be opened just for political retaliation. So it really seems, Vlad, perhaps revealing the fact that they're considering this special counsel. It was an attempt to change the Russia conversation in this hearing. I think he did that to some extent, but now he's going to be asked at every successive hearing by Republicans, hey, how's it going with that special counsel?
Well, exactly. And I've seen a number of Republicans doing interviews this morning on the cable news outlets suggesting that this is something that they want the Attorney General to look into. There are some that have suggested that by doing this, this in some way will impede or somehow in doing so, they will be going after Robert Mueller indirectly, because Mr. Mueller was head of the FBI during the time that this deal was being approved by a number of different agencies. And let's face it, the President of the United States has, during his time as a candidate, suggested that he would investigate Hillary Clinton. He would investigate the Clinton Foundation. He obviously led many of his campaign rallies with chants of lock her up. So what you're suggesting is that the Attorney General is well aware that the President would like him to do this, but he is sort of holding back on saying that this is a priority for the Justice Department.
Exactly. He's saying he's open to it. It was significant last night when they revealed this letter that had gone from the Justice Department to Congress, saying that the Attorney General had directed his top federal prosecutors to look into whether or not there was anything here and whether or not a special counsel should be prosecuted. That was a big headline. That's a big development, because it does call into question whether or not the Justice Department is being used to sort of carry out the political agenda of the White House. But here, Attorney General Sessions denied that. It's easy to do that. But again, once you've put this out here, every single time you appear before the House or the Senate, you're going to be asked about this. And this is something that a lot of Republicans want. For one of the reasons is for what you just pointed out, because a lot of people tell me this is actually a long-term strategy to discredit Robert Mueller, because he was the head of the FBI. It was a little strange to me. It might have been strange to you too. I said, why is there suddenly so much interest in this 2010 uranium deal? And in talking to former Justice Department officials, they tell me they believe that is really what is at the heart of Uranium One. It's not actually about Secretary Clinton. It's about Robert Mueller.
Yeah, because the uranium, and most people may not be aware of this, that uranium is not weapons-grade uranium. It is not being exported out of the country. It remains here in the United States. So to that point, Paula, the attempt to discredit Robert Mueller in the investigation, or at least draw some contradictions and perhaps conflicts of interest, is what some are suggesting is behind all of this. Paula Reid, as always, thank you for your reporting. We appreciate it.